today's topic is lead gen. So as always, I'm going to start this conversation with saying that your database is your data bank and your database is your business, right? So your sphere of influence, those people, those contacts that know you already, that's where you should spend the most amount of time digging in, asking for referrals, talking with them, building those relationships, reminding them you're in real estate. So that's where you're going to spend most of your time. Okay. That being said, we should all be lead generating. And what is lead generating? Okay. Lead generating could be making those DTD2 phone calls to your current database that you're going to call them once a quarter and have a conversation with them about real estate and ask them for referrals, right? We're asking for referrals. So it's lead generation. Okay. Remember, if you guys watched the Ignite series and participated in the Ignite series, and we talked about like, how do people choose an agent? Like the majority of people chose it because they were referred, they knew or referred to somebody who was an agent. Okay. So that's going to be lead gen. You want to set aside time. I don't care. Okay. If you are like, I'm going to lead gen 2 hours or 3 hours every day, 5 days a week. Or if you're like, I'm going to lead gen every day until I set 3 appointments for the next week or 1 appointment for the next week, right? Whatever your goal is. I don't care whether you're like, hey, I'm just going to lead gen until I don't care if I set 20 appointments. I'm going to lead gen 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, irregardless of how many appointments I've started. Or you could be like, hey, I need 3 appointments next week or 1 appointment. And so I'm going to lead gen every day for 3 hours until I set that appointment. And then once I set that appointment, now I can go do other things. Okay. I don't care how you work. Obviously, the person who's like, hey, I'm going to lead gen 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. It doesn't matter how many appointments I set. As long as they get to their minimum, they're probably going to have faster success than the one who's like, hey, I'm just going to stop once I've hit my minimum. Okay. I don't care which way you do it. It makes no difference to me. Okay. I just want you to reach your goals. So that is the purpose of lead gen. Again, number one method would be making sure you're doing those database calls, those DTD2 calls, which is do the database to, right? DTD2, where it's a calling schedule where you call like A and W and B and E and whatever. I don't remember the rest of them, but there's a whole schedule and you call them each week. You call the people whose either first names or last names. It's really set up on last names. Start with those letters and then it cycles through every 13 weeks or whatever. Okay. Or you might be doing your 5-5-5, right? We've talked about the 5-5-5 where you call and have 5 conversations a day. This week, in a month, you're going to reach out to those same people. And instead of a phone call this week, it'll be a text message next month. And then the next month, it'll be a social media message. And then you start calling again. It's the same idea as the DTD2. You're actually picking up the phone and calling them once a quarter. However, it also involves 2 additional touches more than the DTD2. Now you can set up your DTD2 that same way, just for the record. You could set up your DTD2 where it's on a rotating schedule. So this week I'm calling A and W, and then in 4 weeks, I text A and W and I'm calling whoever's on the schedule to call that week. And then 4 weeks after that, you are commenting on social media for A and W, you're texting whoever the next one was, and then you're calling the new people, right? So you can set up the DTD2 to do the same way and make it 3 touches a quarter instead of 1 touch a quarter, which is going to be more effective, right? The more touches, the better, the more the merrier, unless it's every day. And then they'll probably like hate you and run away from you when they see you. So maybe not every day. Okay. Right. And I would probably do it in a schedule of the call and then social media and then text, because if I text this month, they're more likely to pick up my phone call next month. Right. So when I'm getting ready to restart, so I'd probably do it in that schedule. So that would be your number 1 form of lead gen. Okay. Outside of that, you should have a couple additional lead gen forms or some other way that you're reaching clients that you're focusing in on. We recommend, if you look at all the top teams and top agents, they have what we call legs of lead gen, is what they call them, lead gen legs. They usually have 3 lead gen legs. Okay. We say up to 5. And the reason we say up to 5, I'll go over here in a second. But 3 lead gen legs. is what they focus on. And you kind of master one while you dabble in one, and then you move on and master the next one. So the reason we say 5 is your sphere of influence, those DTD2 or the 555 calls, right? Digging in your database. That's going to be one form. The second one is going to be leads from listings. Okay. Anytime you have listings, you should be generating leads. That's why we say be listing focused, be listing focused, be listing focused. You're going to be sending out postcards or door knocking around those open houses that you're hosting at your listings. You've got a sign in the yard. I've received 2 sign calls this week, right? So signs in the yard, they generally speaking don't sell the actual house, but they do help you get more clients, right? So you're going to leverage that listing for leads. Statistics tell us that somebody who can see that for sale sign is going to sell their house, right? So we want to dig into that neighborhood. We want to share a success. We want to share our story. We're going to generate leads from listings. Okay. So outside of those, you probably want 2 to 3 additional lead gen types. Okay. On the screen, we have lead gen. Okay. Now, the top one, prospecting, is where you want to focus for lead gen, and the bottom one, marketing, is how you want to enhance those efforts. So when you start looking at what you're going to do to generate leads, the bottom section, you really want to focus on the top, not the bottom. Okay. The top section, and this isn't everything. The top section would be marketing to for sale by owners. FSBOs is what we call those, right? For sale by owners, expired listings, marketing around just sold homes, marketing around just listed homes, past clients, allied resources. So your allied resources would be like your lender partners, your home inspectors, your whatever those might be, right? Geographical farm area. So that's usually what we talk about when we talk about farm, as a geographic area, which would be like a neighborhood that you're farming. So a frequent area of repetitive marketing, right? Frequent area of repetitive marketing. If we just leave out the repetitive part, then it's not really farming. Okay. You could market to apartments or renters, right? Corporations, right? Because you could get in on their, what's that called when people move? There's a whole thing when people move from one company to the other. Relocation.
I couldn't unmute fast enough.
I was like, all I can think of is it starts with a C, and I know that's not right. Now I can't come up with it. All right. So relocation, right? You could be the relocation expert for a corporation or a company, right? As they bring new people on, you want to be the person that gets the leads for those people needing to find homes. Builders, right? Having those relationships with builders. And maybe you're like, hey, well, what does that mean, Amy? Like relationship with builders? Like, no, they're not going to give you the clients that walk in the door probably that don't have an agent, because they don't want to give money away. But what if those clients walk through the door and they have a house to sell and they don't have an agent to sell that house? How do you get your foot in the door? How do you build that relationship with those people at those builder or developer offices that can send you over the lead and be like, hey, I've got somebody that can sell your house for you, and they're an expert and they do a fabulous job, right? Building those relationships. Third-party companies, investors, door-to-door canvassing, right? So we have the geographic farm area, and then we just have like door-to-door canvassing, right? Like, hey, let's go to this neighborhood. That would almost be like golden letters, right? Golden letters aren't on this list, but a door-to-door canvassing would be similar to like sending out golden letters. Client parties, right? Hosting get-togethers. I know when we talked about at family reunion, one of the things that they talked about in these client parties or events would be they don't have to be huge. You don't have to invite 50 people. It doesn't have to be a big costly thing. Like invite a couple people, right? Have a little barbecue or a little s'mores party at your house and be like, hey, Melissa, I'd really like you to come over for s'mores, and, bring somebody else, right? We're just looking to build those relationships with people. Networking events, right? Like there's business networks where you can meet with other business owners, and then Oftentimes those are kind of like referral groups where if you know somebody looking for a dentist, you refer the dentist, and if the dentist knows somebody looking for an agent, they refer the agent. Start your own networking group, right? You don't have to like participate in somebody else's. You could start your own, but any sort of networking events, social functions and community events, right? Go to those events, get your name out there, participate, even maybe sponsor some of those events so that your name's on like a flyer someplace. In addition to that, like if your kids are in sports, you could sponsor their team and get the flyer on the baseball field, or you get your name on the back of their t-shirts, right? Like there's lots of things that you can do. If you have kids in school, you can sponsor that, like the school sports teams and stuff. You know, Evaca High, Wilsey Wood, the middle schools do it. Like everybody has sponsorships available if they don't like participate in other things outside. And your kids don't even have to participate in sports to sponsor a team. Just keep that in mind.
Vacaville National Little League.
Yep. So there's all sorts of things like that. You can participate in seminars, right? So you can host seminars like home buyer or home selling seminars, maybe like, you know, downsizing, empty nester seminars, like what's the next step, right? And you can bring in other professionals to help you do that. Like, you know, as people are moving up in age, what are some things they need to think about? Like maybe they want to downsize to a single story house, or maybe they need to know what their insurance options are, like bring somebody in that specializes in like Medicare and stuff, right? Like think about people's stages in life that would cause them to want to buy or sell homes. What does that look like? And how can you help service those or educate those people through seminars? You can do them in person. You could do like virtual seminars. You could do booths at events. We got Farmers Market getting ready to come back. Maybe they'll do the Creek Walk series this year. Fiesta days, the home and garden shows. Like you can get booths at those events where you can advertise yourself and have conversations. You could run like a drawing, right? So it could be like a fun thing. Teaching and speaking opportunities or kiosks in high traffic areas. You could stand outside the grocery store and try to get buyers and sellers. I maybe wouldn't do that, but I'm just saying. Desperate times come from desperate measures. Okay, so those are, again, that's not a fully inclusive list of all of the opportunities for prospecting. Those are phone or face-to-face, where you're trying to drum up business. And again, you don't want to do all 21 items. You really want to be like, hey, what 2 or 3 of these do I want to focus on this year? And you'll notice that open houses aren't on there because open houses, they count more under the marketing category. Although I would say that open houses are a form of prospecting, but you have to do the whole system. You can't just put a sign in the yard and hope people are going to show up. Like you need to be promoting that on social media. You need to be door knocking the neighborhood. Like you really should do the whole, there's like a 10-step process. It's in the PC Peeps folder. If you search open houses, you'll see like the open house follow-up process and all of that. So it's not on there, but I would absolutely count open houses into one of those, like number 22. Okay. What questions do you have about prospecting or lead gen?
For like the farmers market and other vendor type things, would you suggest that a few of us do it to cut down on the cost, or what are you seeing as the best? Like one single person doing it or multiple people doing it?
All right. So as I've mentioned before, I feel like when you start doing things together with other agents, sometimes it can become a sticky situation really quick with how you're going to split the leads or split the follow-up or split the commission from any transactions that come from it. That being said, I think partnering up with like a lender or insurance agent or a home inspection company or a pest inspection company, like that could be a key place because now you're both looking for the same thing, right?
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. I'm not saying you can't partner up with other agents because you guys are doing it and I don't care either way. Just make sure you have clearly defined system in place prior to doing it of what's going to happen with those leads, who gets to put them in their database, what happens if there are commissions that come out of it or transactions. Just make sure it's clearly spelled out. And as we talked about earlier this week, I would definitely have that in writing, just so there's no question about what was discussed and that everybody agrees to it. So I have no problem with you guys doing that. My first recommendation would be to partner with somebody that they're not competing, basically.
I still get a kick out of the fact that it still has yellow pages under advertising.
Well, there's still yellow pages somewhere.
They're just digital now.
Digital.
They're more white.
Oh, it's not a list. Right. And so, any other questions about like prospecting, lead gen? We're trying to have conversations and generate leads of people who want to buy or sell homes. So we're not wanting to just go to the title company and be like, give me a list of everybody in this neighborhood and put them into your database and hope something comes from it. Like, that's not lead gen. You want to get their phone numbers or go knock on their doors, or it's something that's going to create that conversation between you and those people. That would be the lead gen portion of it.
You just said that and it reminded me of something, another to do. But wasn't it the title company can help connect you to email addresses? So like if you got your farm and you have their addresses, but do they have that information too? I feel like I heard someone said you could pay for it. I don't know.
Yes. So it usually you have to pay a little bit of money per one that actually comes up, but you can get access to the systems that allow you to do that.
Got it. Okay. But that's through title. Like we could go to them and get
Yeah,
that.
usually through title. I mean, and there's systems in place to help you track down phone numbers like Mojo or Land Voice, or those to help you track down phone numbers. Some track down emails too. So yeah, you can absolutely work to kind of track that stuff down.
And with that being said, like for your personal experience, I'm assuming you've done this or not. But what do you say to someone when they're like, how did you get this information? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's in the sense public, like in that sense, but like, how do you handle that type of conversation if it gets brought up?
Yeah, so so I've never gotten a list of emails and like sent out emails and had somebody ask me. We used to, I got started in the business making cold calls. We would just get a list of houses. I started in the mortgage industry and we'd get a list of houses with their mortgage amounts and their phone numbers. 15 years ago when everybody had a house phone, the numbers were easier to track down.
Yeah, true.
And you would call and then, people would ask, and most of the time it just kind of depended on the conversation that you were having, right? And you'll get those phone calls today, which I'm not a fan of, that call you and go, oh, we talked like a couple months ago. Remember, like you asked me to call you back. I'm like, no, I didn't. Right. Yeah. So don't lie to people, but you just be like, oh, it's public record, or, whatever, or, it's public record and you're in the area that number one, I live in this neighborhood, and number two, like, I just want to keep you up to date of what's going on with the market. So having that, like, if you're calling people in your farm, like, it's really easy to just be like, oh yeah, it's public record, and I was just calling to keep you posted on what's going on in the neighborhood.
On
Got
that
it,
note,
'cause- Mhm.
I got a question for you, Amy.
Yeah.
I got a letter from another realtor. I'll leave the names out of it. Stating that they've lived in our neighborhood for over 20 years. The irony part about it is this neighborhood's only 15 years old.
Well, they
And,
lived in the first house that was ever built.
That would be the first house ever built in this neighborhood 15 years ago. And I'm like, okay,
Well-
starting out with a lie. Anybody that's known anything about this neighborhood would
So
know that
what's
that's
your
BS. I mean, it turned me off right then and there, right? Just because I've been in this neighborhood for so long and I know the neighborhood, I'm like, why would you start this out with a lie?
Yeah. So as I mentioned previously, I would not lie to people.
And I guess it depends on what they're calling a neighborhood. Is that
Yeah,
the
right.
neighborhood of Vacaville? Like, is it,
Yeah, it could be, right?
that's the way they're.
95688 neighborhood.
Yeah, that's no. She gave the housing area development, the housing
Ah.
development area. And I'm like, It's only been here 15 years. I
Maybe
don't
she
see.
was homeless and she originally started out in a tent.
Oh, she lived in the hills?
Yeah,
Or,
Okay.
or maybe that's her strategy to get people to call to say just that. You're lying. Oh, I'm so sorry.
right?
She
Like
just wants
the
people to
name
call.
tags upside down.
Yeah.
Melissa, did you have a question?
Yeah, that was just my thing was, because for my farm, I mean, these are people that like I live near. It's not like, so when I go door knocking, I have sent out at this point, probably 15 like, house or happy house anniversary type of things. And so like that came with the list of their address was when they purchased the property. So I'm like, ooh, I just want to be prepared if someone's like, if they're like, they might not take that as a nice gesture. They might be like, how did you know this stuff? Like, and I just want to know, like, when that-
if somebody questioned me on that, I'd just be like, oh, when you purchase the home, it's public record. So I just was able to access the public records, and I just wanted to wish you a happy home anniversary. Like, congratulations on living in your home for 19 years. Like, that's amazing, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of how I thought about it. But I'm like, what if they're just like, I'm like, it's public record. Like freaking everything's a public record. My blood type is probably public record,
probably.
No.
I wish my blood type was public record because I'd really like to know specifically what I am because I can't remember.
Probably A positive.
So anyways, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions about lead gen methods?
What are you working on? Is that Sparks? I just want to know where I could pull up that list.
Yeah, so this is from Ignite Spark. The lead gen is the core of your business, I believe is the
Okay, perfect.
lead generation is the core of your business. Number 2, Spark number 2.
Okay, perfect.
Which,
And then you,
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Melissa. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. My last question was, you had said 5, but ultimately you're saying, just so I'm hearing you right, you're saying pick 2 like types of like real, like, you know what I mean? What are you?
Yeah, I would say pick 2 to 3. So if you're going to do a farm and open houses, like that's fine. Or if you're like, hey, I'm going to do booths at events and past clients. Past clients, I wouldn't say wraps in, right? Because past clients wraps in your sphere. So I would say you're going to ultimately have 4 to 5. So you're going to have leads from listings, your sphere of influence, or your database, and then 2 additional ones to continue to grow. The goal, outside of lead gen in your database, your goal is to grow your database. And so you want to have a couple different legs of lead gen where it's actually causing your database to grow.
Got it. Okay, awesome.
So 2 to 3 methods that's going to grow that database.
But the
Perfect.
first 2 she said was your sphere and then your leads from listings,
Yeah.
and then pick 2 to 3 of these.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, got it. So the legs. Perfect.
And-
Thank you.
And your lead gen, it's usually an active thing. So, right. So when you get to marketing, like billboards or your sign on the grocery store, or the cart, right, or the little bar that separates your groceries from the person in front of you, that's not really lead gen. That is just marketing because you're putting your name out there and hoping somebody's going to call you. But that's not like an active form of somebody that you can reach out to have a conversation with, right? Like your farm, you can like actively go knock on their doors and try to have conversations with them. With an open house, again, you can go knock on the neighbors' doors. You can do some things to work to have those conversations with people. That's going to be lead gen activities versus marketing. And again, like when people actually walk through your door, then that's a conversation, but getting people through the door is really more marketing, right? So that's why open houses are considered more of like a marketing than they are lead gen. So it's just doing the full process with that open house to have those conversations with the neighbors and things ahead of time, with the hopes that somebody's going to walk through that door, and then you can continue having conversations with people as they walk in.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amy?
Yeah.
With what you've kind of observed over the years, what would you say or recommend are like the most cost effective, but also like productive, effective options besides the leads around listings and yeah.
Okay. So you got to remember, I don't like people. Okay. I should say I don't like strangers.
Yeah. like-
Okay, that's probably a better statement. I don't like strangers. Okay,
Much
Amy.
better.
so
I have to interrupt,
yeah,
Amy,
yeah,
because I love that you said that because I do not, I'm the same way and I fake it to make it,
yeah.
but I'm the same way. So you can still be successful, right? With
You
being,
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, you can be successful with not being a fan of being around people. I'm a high introvert. Being around people, especially people I don't know, it makes me exhausted. It wears me out. Like 2 hours at an open house, and I'm done for the rest of the day. Like I go home and I just need to like go spend some time with the chickens or something. I need some chicken
I
therapy.
feel that way.
Okay.
And I don't want to throw parties. Like I'm not throwing parties.
Yeah, that's why I partner with Shannon. She's really good at talking to people and being the
Oh, I
face
love
at parties and
strangers.
stuff. So yeah, she loves that part of it, right? So, so that being said, I have not done all of these things like Tim, that's not true. I have done like a booth at an event. There was a winter craft fair type thing or vendor fair in Winters that I hosted one time. That was not my cup of tea. We did a drawing. So I got lots of people's information. And then in true Amy fashion, that's where it ended. I never actually followed up with any of those people. So don't do Amy. That was at the very beginning of my Keller Williams experience, just for the record. So follow up with the people. If you're going to choose something, do it and do it well and follow up with people. Okay? And then, okay, so, but to answer your question, open houses, even though I'm not a fan of strangers, there's like a certain stranger danger. I don't actually feel about stranger danger. I just don't like strangers. And open houses, when I hosted open houses, I walked away with like one client from every open house that I hosted. That's where, when I first came over to Keller Williams, I was doing 6 to 8 transactions a year, just as an independent brokerage. It was just me and my broker. So I was kind of on my own. I didn't even know that there was a thing called lead gen. Like that's right. Like it was all in my sphere and people I came in contact with, and that's how I knew to generate business. And so when I decided to go full time, I was like, oh, I should probably join a company that teaches me how to actually do real estate, right? So I switched over to Keller Williams. My number one lead gen method was open houses, and I walked away with a client from just about every open house. I closed 21 transactions my first year with Keller Williams, and the majority of those were open house leads. Okay, and some of them were like that day, like Noah and Rachel, who I just sold their property in Walnut. They were an open house lead that walked into my listing in Winters. That was a sphere of influence listing. Okay, so it was my database listing that I leveraged for more transactions. They walked into my listing when I was hosting an open house, my listing that Taylor Fetters bought, and from my NHT. And they said, we aren't happy with our current agent, right? They were unhappy with their current agent. So I stole them away from the other agent very happily because they weren't happy. I didn't attempt to steal them away. They just volunteered that information. They were unhappy. We had a good conversation. And now I sold them Walnut, and now I've sold Walnut, and we're looking for another piece of property, right? So, so again, stay in your database because that's where most of your business is going to come from in the long haul, but they were an open house lead. So I like open houses. That's not the only way. If you look at every one of these methods of lead gen, like you can go in the KW network and find somebody who's mastered it, and that's what their business is based on, right? Client parties, networking events, networking with builders. The whole new homes division of Keller Williams is built around those relationships with builders, right? Teaching and speaking opportunities, even kiosks, door-to-door canvassing, the geographical farm. Like you can find somebody who's built their business on those methods. I get referrals from a local bank. I refer them. I usually try to refer at least one bank on my list of referrals for lenders because some people just like to do business with banks. It just makes them happy and brings them joy, and that's where they want to do their loan through. So I always make sure that I have a bank on my list of referral lenders, and my contact over there at the bank, he's referred me a couple different clients now. Right. So there's no one wrong or right way. The reason I like open houses is I feel like outside of your sphere of influence, outside your database, that is the quickest way to clients that are looking to buy or sell now. Right? Your geographical farm may take some time, a kiosk, a booth, like all those things may take a little bit of time. But I feel like open house people, they walk in to that open house because they're looking to either buy or sell a property in the next 30 days. That answer your question?
I think she logged off.
Did we lose her?
I think she, yeah. I don't think she would have just hopped off while you were answering. So I wonder if she just.
But it was really good. Like
Yeah.
I was soaking it up. I
Yeah.
loved it.
All
Oh,
right,
there she is.
she's back.
I got a lot from it.
We'll
Good.
try again. We'll try again.
Aw.
I don't know.
Tara, what
Maybe she'll come
happened?
back. Oh, there she is. Yay.
Yeah, sorry, my internet went out. So I'm on my
Sorry.
phone.
I had a
But thank
really
you, I
good
got-
spiel for you,
Sorry.
but it
I
amounted,
missed like the last probably 1 or 2 minutes.
it came down to, I open houses. Even though I'm not
Okay.
a fan of strangers, I don't really care to be around people. I would fake it at open houses for 2 hours and be a people person for 2 or 3 hours in order to pick up one client.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, you can leave that out. You can actually put it on the shelf next to the soap in case anybody wants to see it.
Quick question.
Yes,
Are we still using Michael Lewis for like credit or business cards?
okay, so you can use whoever you want for business cards. You're not required to use Michael Lewis. Our initial orders that come through for your business cards, those I believe go through Michael Lewis. So if you want them to match what you got free from the office, then double check with Megan. All I can think of is Melissa. I was like, that's not right. Why can't I come up with
With an
the
M.
name? Double check with Megan, but there's usually got placed through Michael Lewis. And as far as that goes for future cards, you don't have to go through Michael Lewis. They have some nice pre-made cards that you just plug your information into and you're done. But you could go anywhere.
Okay.
I have like velvety satin feel cards, satin touch ones that you can get through Moo for like $2 a card, or that's not where I ordered mine.
I was gonna say.
Heather's like, how, what? A whole new Amy.
I found an off-brand person. If you need me to look up who I ordered my cards through, I'm sure I can find it somewhere. It was much cheaper, much cheaper. I want to say it was like 1-800 cards or something like that, but
You can make them and upload them. That's what I did.
yeah,
Made them
I
and
made it
upload
and then
them to
uploaded it.
Michael
So
Lewis.
yeah.
'Cause they're cheap.
Well, I wanted the satin touch. I had experienced somebody at family reunion that had satin touch business cards, and I wanted the satin touch. And so I looked, they were like, oh, it was the Moo booth. And so I got home and I priced them. I was like, there's no way I'm paying that.
I was like, I know Mossiel has those, and it's like I said, it's so funny what imprint on a business card. Like there's a title company rep that I work with, and she has a business card where the front is her picture, like, you know, and her information. On the back side, it looks like it's reversed, like, you know, and it's the
Okay.
back of her head. So it looks like it's I'm like, but those types of things stick out, you know, like
Right?
that's a business card I actually keep. Like I literally put them in the database, take a screenshot, send it to my email, that type of deal, because I cannot take business cards everywhere. But the ones that have stood out in a different way, I have those ones I keep. I feel like I can't get rid of them. Like
It's got rounded corners, and I'll leave them out in my office. They're soft to the touch. And when
Yeah,
you put
see?
these in like drawings, I
Mm.
often get chosen because they're sticky to your fingers.
boy, Amy, we're gonna have to talk about that one later.
Hey, Melissa,
Yes.
do you know, I just found this out. It's called, is it Blink? That you can put on your phone, and it's like a QR code that people can scan, and you can send it through text, and you can send your business card that way.
I
think
had
it's Blink.
downloaded it.
Oh,
for
I
free
have
one.
a-
I don't know if that was the one I had gotten for a digital. Cause I,
Yes.
but I hadn't used the one, just cause the one I did download that was free, I'm like, kind of whatever. I haven't had like an opportunity where like needing that. But one thing it's interesting, on business cards that I started thinking of. So my card, I have like my picture, all the good information in the front, and on the back side, I have 3 different QR codes. So I have it going to my Facebook, my Instagram, just because people choose one or the other. And then I have it going to my Keller Williams app, mobile app. But one thing I noticed recently was there's certain people that I would want them just to have my personal accounts, which because I'm sharing my real estate stuff on there anyways. And then there's certain people that I wouldn't want them having my personal accounts. So that's something just to kind of, if people haven't ordered, to kind of think of like, at this point now, I feel like I want 2 different business cards. One that go for people that I want to connect to on that level. I want them seeing my family, that type of stuff. And the other one is more of, I have no idea who you are, and you can just have the business side of me right now. So just as a food for thought there.
That's fair.
There's
Um,
also a hi hello for digital business cards.
Yeah, I actually have a digital business card myself. I will tell you, it's a good conversation starter. A lot of people go, oh,
Well, okay, so not
What is-
only that, but sorry to cut you off, but the
good.
digital business card is really where it's at, because in fact, I don't even hardly have regular business cards with me anymore. I really have to dig to find them. But because when somebody goes, oh, you're having a conversation, like Heather and I are having a conversation, and she's like, oh, can I get your card? You'd be like, oh man, actually, I don't have any on me right now. What's your information? What's your phone number? And I can text you my digital business card, right? So now instead of her walking away with my business card and me having nothing except a name, I've now got her number, so I can add her to my database and get back in touch with her and follow up. Right. So having a digital business card of some sort is ideal in most situations anymore.
Yeah, mine is a tap. It's like those NFC tags. So I have a circle sticker type thing that I stick to the back of my phone, so I don't carry around my business cards. And when I meet somebody where I only have my phone on me, I just tell them, oh, you could just tap your phone on the back of mine,
Oh,
and
see,
it
that's cool.
shoots my business card to them. But also, like what Amy said, it's nice to get their information too. So I kind of like gauge the comfort level, like how friendly we got through conversation, if they're willing to give it to me, or if it's just like, maybe they aren't comfortable giving me their number yet.
Yeah.
Then I just tell them, oh, you can just tap and it'll shoot to your phone. And then they can just click save contact, and it downloads into their contact list. So they have my contact.
That's neat.
Perfect.
It's
Yeah.
it's really actually important. That's good what you said, Tara. I was actually somewhere and I engaged in conversation, and I didn't have a business card on me, but it allowed me, because I had the digital card, to just ask for her information. And now she signed a loyalty agreement with me, and we're waiting for her to start her new job in the military as a recruiter, and before we start looking for homes. So it's all because I got her phone number and was able to send her a little information. And I didn't even talk about myself. I just let her know that if she's ever interested or knows anybody that, that's looking to buy or sell, to let me know. And then like 2 weeks later, she randomly texts me. So
Awesome.
it's all about getting that phone
That's
number.
awesome.
So the digital card's important for sure. And then getting their information. Because I could have given my card out and I would have never had her information. So.
Perfect. Oh, I think it was, hold on.
I had actually just one quick question, Amy.
Yeah, go.
Not pertaining to what we've been talking about, having to do with expireds. I'm wondering if there's a template that that you've ever used, or that you think is pretty good for reaching out to expireds.
I have not mastered the art of expireds. It's not something I've even dove into very far. What I would say is that when it comes to expired, you want to stand out. So those expired listings do get a lot of phone calls from a lot of different agents. And so you want to do something that stands out to them. And so I would recommend, and some of the people that I know that's had the most success with expireds, they do like a little pop by, like my soap that says, hey, if I can give you a hand, let me know.
That's good,
Right?
yeah.
So something like that, that keeps you remembered.
In the
And that
forefront.
speaks to them. So dropping something off on their doorstep. And it may even be like the top 5 reasons why homes don't sell in this market, right? And then like a little pop by. So nothing specific to their house, but just like top 5 reasons houses don't sell. And if I can give you a hand, let me know. And
Pretty
then
good, pretty good.
when you talk with them, you want to find out why they think their house didn't sell first.
Yeah, that's good. I haven't attempted to do expires, but it's kind of been in the back of my mind, and it keeps coming up. So I'm just kind of thinking about different ways to approach that if I decide to do that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Amy.
I used for my business cards, I used U Printing.